Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Speaking Spurs with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Today we're going to be talking the build-up into the Sheffield United game at home, 7:15 kickoff. If you want to watch that game on TV and you've got Sky, it's on Sky Sports Premier League and Sky Sports Main Event with commentary from 7 o'clock. That's UK time. So if you're watching from elsewhere, please do check local kickoff times for yourselves. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about our manager situation, which is getting more and more depressing by the second. So we'll start with team news for the game as usual. Ben Davies remains the only player out. Doherty obviously was back in training for the last game. He's available to play again. If we look at current form for both teams, we have 2 losses, 2 draws and 2 wins. Sheffield United have 1 win and 5 losses. Bearing in mind that win came against Brighton in their very last game out since they've been announced that they're relegated from the Premier League. And I will say in that game, Sheffield United, they played with a fire in their belly, a hunger, a desire. But had Brighton have had a decent set of strikers on the pitch, I have no doubts that they would have won. Brighton's main problem this season is they try to walk the ball into the back of the net. They play great attacking football. They just have, that inability to be able to get the ball in the back of the net because they're not risky enough when it comes to shots. Which is why they are where they are. Okay. Looking at the game though, we should win. It's a very winnable game. Sheffield United haven't beat us away in the Premier League in the last 4. So when you look at that and the fact that they are sitting bottom of the table and we have 5 cup finals essentially coming up, it's a must-win for us. And after that disappointing cup result, you'd expect that we're going to bounce back. And, they need to get the fans back on side. There was a lot of disgruntled fans after that cup performance. If we talk about Harry Kane for a second. So Kane has obviously come out and he's had an interview this week and he said that it's been a disappointing season, which it has. Been a very disappointing season, really. The interesting thing that he said in his interview is that he wants to win team trophies. Now, this interview essentially came about because he did win Player of the Season at the London Awards. But yeah, he said he wants to win team trophies. And is he going to win them at Spurs? Who knows? I think part of me feels that it'd be a bit unfair if he left because of the trophy thing, because it's not like he hasn't had the opportunity. Kane's played in semi-finals for the club. He's played in a Champions League final. He's played in the League Cup final. And he's not exactly been our best player in those games, has he? On the biggest stage for Spurs, albeit he was coming back from injury, he failed to be our main man. And I know a team is 11 players on the pitch, a squad of however many they've got that makes a team. As we've seen, Gareth Bale against Inter Milan absolutely destroyed Maicon. Playing away in that game, we were absolutely terrible. We were losing 4-0. Gareth Bale single-handedly took the game by the scruff of the neck, banged in a hat-trick, made the best right-back in world football look like a Sunday League player. So don't tell me for a second that one man can't make a difference. The amount of times Harry Kane has made a difference in games when we haven't been playing well only takes a second to score a goal. So the fact is, if he wants to leave, it's not like he hasn't had the opportunities to win the trophies. He just hasn't turned up in those games. Sonny also really didn't turn up in that game. Again, the Carabao Cup final, our best players just happened to be Hugo Lloris, Toby Alderweireld, Eric Dyer. That defensive core did really well. They were let down by the rest of the team, really. So Harry Kane, have a look at yourself before you make a decision. You've had the opportunities, you just haven't turned up on those days. Great player, probably the best number 9 in the world. But you've got to look at it realistically. You've had the opportunities, okay? So please stay. Right, now Ryan Mason. His press conference was a bit boring, really. Like I've said, he's very good at talking. But I'm really getting bored because obviously he's got a very limited number of games in charge. He doesn't want to, ruffle any feathers. He just goes in there, says his thing, gets over and done with. And some of the questions, they're not really football related. Obviously, they have to ask certain things. So they started with the social media boycott, which, although it's annoying to listen to in a press conference about an upcoming football game, it is very relevant. Social media is out of control because people don't have to put their real names on these things. There's no addresses. There is no links to us as people. So we don't have to take responsibility for our actions. So Ryan Mason backs this. He's obviously had abuse in the past. He's probably had abuse recently because of maybe his selection in the Carabao Cup final. The fact that he's not ready to take on a role like this. So yeah, he backs it. There was a few more questions about it. I won't go over it. With regards to the team, he said the players are training well. Obviously, there was talk of Harry Kane. Are we going to be able to keep him? He said, look, Kane's a top professional. And he doesn't feel that we need Champions League football to keep Harry Kane at this club. Methinks we do, really. I really do think we need it to keep Harry Kane at the club. The question will just come down to finances and who's willing to pay top money for him. Like, you look at his age. There aren't going to be many clubs that want to pay that amount of money to only get a few years at the top level out of him. Obviously, players like Ibrahimovic, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi have managed to keep going. Samuel Eto'o, into their later years in football, shall we say. And they've managed to stay at the top level, which there's no doubt Harry Kane probably will. He could drop back further on the pitch like Wayne Rooney did. I have no doubt in his ability, but are players going to want to spend 175, 200 million for a player of his age? I don't think so. What else was he talking about? Oh, the managers. Bringing in a manager. He reckons Spurs will always be able to attract top managers. You look at the stadium. We've got the best stadium in the world, the best training complex in the world. So he thinks that we're still a big pull for anyone out there. There is some sense in that. But at the same time, it's a big project now to take over at Spurs. Pochettino took us to a certain level and we started coming back down. So now it's kind of back at the stage where Pochettino took us over, I think. It's now another building project. And obviously finances are going to be tighter than they've ever been because we still haven't got any naming rights for the stadium. So we've still got to pay off that. We've been hit with a pandemic and had incredible financial losses. So we'll see. Are they going to get a transfer budget that they want? I don't know. Another thing. I saw a little interview with Chris Powell. After this, if you go onto the Tottenham Hotspur official YouTube channel, you can see a little bit from Chris Powell just talking about his love for Spurs. He's had experience in management. He's gone off and done things. But he was talking about the fact that Spurs has always been his club as a boy. So go check that out. That was quite nice. Also, Michel Vorm is officially back properly on the coaching staff with Spurs. He hadn't worked with the team before the cup final, and that was just due to the fact that he was back in his homeland, travelled to the UK, and then had to isolate because of COVID, obviously. So he's now back with the squad. There was a little interview with him as well, so go check that out as well. That's also on the official Tottenham YouTube channel. That's pretty much it for the game. There's not much to talk about, is there really? We need to win. That's all we need to say on the game. So for that part, we're done. Now let's talk managers. And this is where it's been getting interesting. There's like a massive list of people that we are linked to constantly. So from the beginning, we had Nagelsmann, Brendan Rodgers, Eric Ten Hag, Sarri, Eddie Howe, Nuno Santos, Jurgen Klinsmann, Scott Parker, Ralph Rangnick, Graham Potter, Roberto Martinez, Allegri, Southgate. I think there was a couple more in there. But it's not going well, is it? There was a rumour that the club were going to try and announce something before the end of the season. I think with certain managers now out of the running, that's going to be nigh on impossible to do. And I don't think they would have been able to announce one before the end of the season anyway, for a few reasons. Managers want to know where the club is at that they're taking over. And with Tottenham, there's a lot of uncertainty. I think it's going to be hard to draw a top manager if we're not in the Champions League. There's a possibility we could end up not even in the Europa League. And European football is going to be a big draw for any top manager. Obviously, those top ones want Champions League football. There's a possibility that's not going to happen. Also, financially, they don't know what budget they're going to have. And, Daniel Levy is a hard man to work with. He's not going to go out and buy every single player you want. He's not going to pay top dollar, especially at the moment. He's very tight with the purse strings. Very clever, very good with them. But you're not always going to get what you want. So, also, they don't know what players are going to be at the club next season. Are we going to lose Harry Kane? Are we going to lose Son? So, I know they want to make one early, but are these managers going to make decisions before the Euros? Because quite often we see players will go to the Euros, the World Cups, Copa America, things like that, and they will absolutely smash it and earn themselves a transfer. You just got to look at James Rodriguez. Went to the World Cup, scored a couple of bangers, and then earns himself a big money move. That's all it takes in these competitions. So the managers are going to want to know exactly what they're going to have in place going into next season. So if we look at the suitors, so Nagelsmann obviously was someone the fans really wanted, and it sounded like the club wanted. He's obviously joining Bayern Munich. We never stood a chance up against Bayern Munich, did we? They are a fabulous team. They have a great history. They perform well in the league every year, always in the Champions League every year. They've got fantastic players at the club already, so you wouldn't need to do too much to that squad to keep them where they are. Brendan Rodgers was the next man we were talking to, or wanting, and a few fans wanted him as well. It seems like he ruled himself out of the running. Why would he not? Leicester are playing very well. They're pretty much going to get Champions League football. The club is on the rise. I wouldn't go to Spurs and take on a massive project. If Spurs were in a similar situation to Leicester, I could understand him jumping ships. The only thing that I've heard that could entice him possibly is money. There is a rumour going around that Spurs are willing to triple his wages to bring him across. Now, if he does that, from my point of view, it'd be great to have him, but I feel that's disgusting to leave a team that you've taken to Champions League football for money. I hate this whole money aspect of the game. Unfortunately, it's there. It is what it is. But I can't see him coming. Erik ten Hag. Okay, so this is somebody that he was getting mixed reviews from the fans. Some were saying they really wanted him. Ajax play a great brand of football. There was other people saying that they didn't want him because they feel that he might be stuck in the culture of Ajax as a club. I would have quite liked him, to be fair. I feel like he's somebody that could have used Spurs as a project, and it could have done well for us. He does play a decent attacking brand of football. Ajax, I know it's a league that isn't too difficult. Ajax are always going to be there or thereabouts. But look at their European adventures. He's done pretty well with them. They gave us a very torrid time. They knocked out some big clubs in the Champions League, although the worry would be that they completely capitulated against us. But then you also look at the fact that Lucas Moura was incredible in that game. But he's now signed a contract extension with Ajax until 2023. So pretty much out of the running. Other managers, Sarri. For me, no thanks. I don't really like him. Don't find him an interesting manager. Look, there's a possibility that he could get us to win things, but it's not always about that. I like a good culture. I like a manager that is good in the media, will have a good link with the fans. Just can't see that from Sarri. He kind of seems like a bit of a lone wolf. Eddie Howe, at one stage I would have said yes, but now for me, I don't think so. He's just not somebody I want to see there. Nuno Espirito Santos of Wolves. See, that one, for me, is a possible. I don't mind him. I think he's a good manager. But then you have to look at Wolves. They've taken kind of a dip from where he had them. So I don't know on that one either. That's an interesting one. He has worked with Jose Mourinho before. He was goalkeeper at Porto for him with that Champions League winning team. So, he knows what it's like to be a winner. Knows what it's like to be a champion. But I think that one will be possibly one of our panic buys. Possibly. Jurgen Klinsmann, old fan favourite. He is available. I mean, his CV looks good. With the USA, Bayern Munich. But his most recent spell with Hertha Berlin didn't end too well. Pretty poor. So is he somebody that we're likely to go for? I don't think so. I think that one is just put in there because he's an ex-Spurs guy. Scott Parker. For me, that one has to be a no. As much as I love Scotty Parker, and he did well with Fulham, he got them back to the Premier League. Obviously, it looks like they're going to go back down at the moment, so he could end this season with relegation, which is never good, but Scotty is a winner. A tough guy, a nice guy. I feel like he's just more one for the future. I think he needs a bit more management experience before he comes to a club like Tottenham. He's not quite ready. I think if he was to move to, say, a mid-table Premier League team and built them up, maybe to put them in the top 6, then I'd say, yes, we'll start talking. But yeah, one for the future for me. Who else? Rafa Benitez. I mean, he's a good manager. There's no doubt about it, but there's something about him I just don't like. I don't know what it is. There's just something about him. And everybody has that manager, don't they? That they just, rubs them up the wrong way. Rafa, for me, is that guy. I mean, my dad, it's a funny one. He's his Roy Hodgson. And he doesn't know why. I say to him all the time, I'm like, what is it about Roy Hodgson that you don't like? He's like, don't know. Just don't like him. And we all have that person. We all have that player. We all have that manager. But yeah, so for me, Rafa, no. Ralph Rangnick. I mean, he's got a fantastic reputation. Has helped build some great managers. You look at Klopp, Tuchel. He's got a very good reputation. But his best days as a manager came quite a while ago. And I think a lot of people that are talking about the possibility of him coming to the club would rather see him coming as a director of football. And I agree as well. I wouldn't want to see him as manager. He just hasn't done enough managing recently. So for me, that one is a no as well. Allegri, it looks like that one's going to be a no. And I think that just comes down to his not so great English. If we remember when we got Pochettino, I think that was based on his English as well. He was told by Daniel Levy, to manage at this club, your English is going to have to be good. We need you to do your interviews in English. Because we saw at Southampton, didn't really happen, did it? There was a translator, but he did work hard. And his English was actually pretty good, to be fair. He picked it up very quickly. I think it was more a confidence thing. Didn't want to answer questions in the wrong way in case he misunderstood through that language barrier. So yeah, Allegri's looking like a no. Gareth Southgate and Roberto Martinez. Now, both have done very well internationally. I mean, Belgium ranked number 1 in the world. Southgate is looking like he's building a hell of an English squad. Now, here comes my problem with international managers. They get to pick from the best talent pool within their country. So any player that you want to play, you can have. And Belgium have a lot of very talented players. And England have a lot of very talented young players and some very good experienced players now. So from that perspective, it makes it a bit more difficult to see how they're going to come back to club level and do well. I mean, Southgate didn't have a particularly impressive management record at club level. Obviously, he didn't manage at top clubs, so you can understand the indifference in form. Roberto Martinez as well. Didn't end too well at Everton in the end, did it? So it's a tough one. There is a chance either one of them could come and do a fantastic job. But I just feel when you've got more restrictions on you, and by that I mean financials, you're limited to what you can get and what you can do. And when you can pick from every single player that qualifies for your national team, it makes it a little bit easier. So I can't see either of those. They, again, I think will be maybe if they can't get anyone else. So that leaves us with Graham Potter. And there are plenty of Spurs fans in the Facebook groups that I'm in. You mentioned Graham Potter, and a lot of them are like, no, 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 don't want him, not experienced enough, not good enough. I actually think of the ones that are left available to us, I'd be quite tempted to go for him. If you look at our managers in the past, right, Martin Jol was never meant to be Tottenham manager. He came in as a number 2 to Jack Santini. That didn't work out. He became manager. And Martin Jol, we have a lot to be thankful for. He really put us on this path to build us back towards European competition, to become a so-called elite club again. He wasn't first choice. Harry Redknapp. He wasn't first choice. He was brought in to save us in a season where our form was terrible. He built us back up. Pochettino was not our first choice manager. We wanted Louis van Gaal. Thank God we didn't get him. He went to Manchester United. And Pochettino comes in, does a fantastic job. So if you look at that, the managers that Spurs and maybe the fans initially wanted didn't come, and we ended up with second and third choice managers. And each time, they have taken the club onto a new level. Martin Jol laid the groundwork. Harry Redknapp brought in stability and, got us some fantastic players and played a very good brand of football. Maurizio Pochettino edged us onto that next level to establish ourselves as a Champions League team. Took us to a Champions League final. None of them were first choice. So don't think that Graham Potter is a bad choice. He's not a first choice, but look what he's done with Brighton. I know they're not in the best position in the league, and I think that really comes down to the money and players available to him and the players that they can attract. If Brighton had top strikers at the club, they would not be where they are in the Premier League. You can't fool me for a second. They would be much higher in the table. The football that they play is beautiful at times. And defensively, they don't ship loads of goals either. I think he's a good manager. I think he needs to take the next step up. And seeing as financially we're not where we once were, we've had a torrid season under Jose. We've lost the cup final. Graham, to me, is a manager that can work on a budget. He knows his brand of football. It's an exciting brand of football. It's a style that the Tottenham fans would like to see. No, he's not the big name signing that everybody wants. I know everybody wants that headline management signing. But look what happened when we got it. We got Jose Mourinho, one of the biggest names in football worldwide, and it did not work out. So why not Graham Potter? Why not? So for me, of all of those at the moment that we could take, I would probably go for him. And then if not, I would look at Nuno Santos. But apart from that, it's not an exciting list. And that just comes down to the fact of where we are as a club right now. We're not the most attractive prospect to go into. And on top of that, there's not many top managers that are out of work or top managers that we could persuade at the moment. So yeah, management-wise, for me, Graham Potter. You may disagree, you may agree. Let me know below. It's a great talking point to hear what everybody thinks on managers. So yeah, smash in the comments who you want to see as a manager, whether you agree with me, and if you disagree with me on Graham Potter, let me know why. I want to hear people's views. I love this whole debate because people may have a viewpoint on something that I haven't picked up on. And it's a great thing, football. It just gives us the chance to discuss. It's one of those things where an opinion is an opinion, and if you back it up, we can have a great discussion about it. So let me know in the comments below. Also, give me your score predictions for the Sheffield United game. Where do you think we're going to end up in there come the end of the season? But that's pretty much it for today. A much shorter video than normal because there's less to talk about in terms of, the game itself. A little bit about the managers there. Hopefully we have a good result. Have a nice weekend, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Support the video with a like. And as always, come on you Spurs.